Jesus was known to be a master teacher, and undoubtedly he was, because he could look at things so familiar, and he could present a lesson as a result thereof. In John 4, he did it with regards to a field. He said, "Look unto the field, that they are white unto harvest." Now we know that in life presents to us any number of opportunities to be able to learn and to grow. And such is the case with something so simple as Waldo. You know, the cartoon character who's distinctive with his striped shirt and his wool hat and things of that nature. He's one of a kind. And there is no way to mistake his identity as you look on each page of the books that feature him. You look for him because he's hiding there on that page somewhere. Now, when a child or an adult does find him, there is this delicious moment of discovery, which can easily be seen on the faith of the one who has done the searching and now has found him and realized, there he is, I've got him. However, there are times when Waldo kind of is really hidden. And sometimes it may take another set of eyes or two, but ultimately he can be found. And it is with patience and persistence that is realized. Now Jesus, back in the book of Matthew, it's recorded, talked about, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." He's talking about a search. Over in the 13th chapter, it's recorded a parable, the parable of the pearl of great price. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls. And upon finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. Now, in both passages, Jesus focused on finding that which is unique and not resting until it had been realized. Now, later on, Paul, as it's recorded in Acts the 17th chapter, spoke to the Areopagus on Mars Hill. And now the following observation he made, that mankind should seek God, if perhaps they might grope for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. That's in Acts 17 verse 27. Are you familiar with the saying, hiding in plain sight? Sometimes all it takes is another set of eyes or someone pointing out the clearly obvious. Now, I've never been able to look at those 3D pictures that you distort your eyes and you see something hidden. Couldn't do it, even with the help of others. Reminded of a time in San Francisco. My wife and I and some very good friends of ours were in Ghirardelli Square, and we were wandering around. There was in the windows those 3D pictures, and people were standing there and they were looking and they go, I see it, I see it. I go, what do you see? And then they began to tell me, I'm looking, I don't see what they're seeing. I'm beginning to realize that maybe they're playing a joke on me. And they said, no, if you do this and you do this, you'll see it. Never saw it. Never saw it. Waldo I can find. Waldo's easy because I don't have to distort my eyes. I can look and I can identify who he is. Now, go back into the scriptures. And following the death of Stephen, the church in Jerusalem was scattered due to intense persecution. As they went out, they proclaimed the message of Jesus Christ and him crucified. And in the 8th chapter of the book of Acts, an interesting encounter is presented. A eunuch from Ethiopia was returning to his home after having gone to Jerusalem. And as he was going through the region of Gaza, he was studying. He was reading the scriptures. He was in Isaiah 53. Philip approached the chariot and inquired of him, do you understand what you're reading? And the eunuch said, well, how could I unless someone guides me? Philip was invited to sit up with him in the chariot. And the eunuch earnestly wanted to know the identity of the one spoken about in Isaiah 53. And it was from Isaiah 53 that Philip preached to him Jesus Christ. Now what's striking, as you continue on to read there in the 8th chapter, the eunuch responded to what he was being told. Because what he had found was he had found truth. Ah, so that's the one. And so he cries out, what prevents me from being baptized? Now we know from that in teaching out of Isaiah 53, Philip undoubtedly taught baptism for remission of sin. And the eunuch goes, well, that's what I need to do. Finally, they come by some water of some amount. And he said, water, what prevents me from being baptized? Philip said, if you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, you can. I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God, is exactly what the eunuch affirmed. Philip and the eunuch went down into the water and he baptized him. Now that again deals with the idea of baptism is more than a sprinkling or a pouring, but it is an immersion. When he had come up out of the water, Philip went on his way, and the eunuch went on his way rejoicing because he had found that which was true. Now, metaphorically, you can make this same application over to Waldo. And that doesn't mean I'm trying to denigrate Christ at all. But there are a lot of people who are, in a spiritual sense, trying to find Waldo. Now, Jesus is clearly distinctive. There's only one of a kind. He is that which is true, and he's clearly distinctive. And if you look, you can find him. In every conceivable way, he is distinctive. There are over 300 prophecies in the Old Testament that point exactly to who Jesus is. Ultimately, Jesus says in the night in which he is taken and betrayed, he said in John 14, verse 6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but through me. Some translations have by me. Regardless, the preposition is there of access to the Father is only through Christ. By the same token, the church which was purchased by his shed blood in Acts 20 and 28 is clearly identifiable. Yet sadly, the vast majority settle for cheap imitations created by man. Just as Philip was presented with the opportunity, we as well are given the chance to help others come to the full realization of the fact of Jesus is the Christ. And with that, all that's entailed therein. The oneness that is seen in Ephesians, the 4th chapter, truly resonates. There is one Lord and one Spirit. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you are called in one hope of your calling. Now we get one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. Ephesians 4, verses 4 through 6. There is such joy in witnessing the moment of discovery by those whom we help find the truth and the absolute oneness that is found in Christ.